Hey guys, my name's Zach, and welcome to my little presentation about Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, it is not that nerdy, believe it or not. But I wanted to just do a quick presentation, just to going over some different things about Dungeons and Dragons, but primarily just wanted to show everybody really that anybody can really play it. If you're a kid, if you're a teenager, a young adult, or an older adult, anybody can play Dungeons and Dragons. Anybody can have a really good time playing it, and it is so easy to play. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about how easy it is to play, but even more so about how easy it is to make a character and get going. And so, yeah. But first off, I just wanted to say, okay, guys, if Stephen Colbert plays Dungeons and Dragons, then you can too. Very popular late night show guy, but loves Dungeons and Dragons. Not too nerdy in my opinion. The Rock, definitely not nerdy in my opinion. Also plays Dungeons and Dragons. And wow, Vin Diesel, Mr. Fast and Furious himself, also plays Dungeons and Dragons, and matter of fact is a big advocate of it. So there's some pretty popular people that have made names for themselves that enjoy playing Dungeons and Dragons. Some that you probably wouldn't think that actually play Dungeons and Dragons. And then there's the ones that you kind of would believe, and it's more of like a duh, of course they play Dungeons and Dragons, like Stephen King, for instance. Who would have ever thought? Of course Stephen King would play Dungeons and Dragons. And, of course, Mr. Helter Skelter himself, Marilyn Manson. Not really surprising that Marilyn Manson grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons and actually painted his own miniature figures himself. Kind of interesting. Not really. Of course he played Dungeons and Dragons. He's crazy, but awesome. Okay, so now let's really get down into it. Though the first part was just kind of fun, just to see how the different people all over the world, coming from different backgrounds, have played Dungeons and Dragons, and some of them even still do play Dungeons and Dragons. But let's get into building a character. Really, really simple, and actually quite fun. Of course, the adventuring part is the most fun part when you get into it, but actually building the character, building who you want to be in this fantasy world is really, really interesting and a lot of fun as well. The place that I always recommend any new beginning player who has never played Dungeons and Dragons before, I always recommend they start with class. There are 12 different classes in Dungeons and Dragons that you can pick from. There's some extra ones, but mainly there's the 12 base ones that people usually stick with. And a class basically is is what you are doing. Kind of more of what is your job in playing in role playing. What primarily is going to be how you play. So for instance, if you wanted to be a barbarian, you are basically going to be playing as a melee character. You're going to be constantly in the fights. You're going to be right there in the thick of it. You're going to be able to be taking a lot of damage, but also going to be able to be dealing a lot of damage back out as a barbarian. Or maybe you want to be a rogue, and a rogue is more of your style of thief or criminal, very much so like in the shadows. Your rogue is usually very stealthy, can steal things very easily, and a lot of times he's more ranged than anything, as we see with the picture here. He's got his bow out, and usually off more to the side. Or maybe you want to be a cleric, for instance, someone who is really good at killing evil characters, really good at smiting evil and doing high amounts of damage, but also is able to help heal the party. A very crucial part of playing Dungeons and Dragons is somebody who's going to be able to heal the party up when a character is really damaged. And then if you just want to have a lot of fun, and you get really into it, you can also play a style of maybe like a wizard. There's like a wizard, there's a class of sorcerer, but you know, these guys basically are spellcasters. If you want fire or lightning coming out of your hands, then these are the guys to play. Lots of area damage rather than just more melee damage. They're able to affect multiple enemies. So that's kind of the class. And so you see that it's more of what you're wanting to do, more of the role you're wanting to play with your party during your adventures. This is probably the most important aspect of building your character. So be sure to pick something that you know that you're going to really enjoy. If you don't really enjoy being in the thick of it, if you don't really enjoy being the first one through the door and charging down any characters, well, then you probably don't want to pick a barbarian. Then you probably are going to want to pick something like a wizard or something more of like a rogue, so that you can stay in the back and are able to shoot or cast spells from afar. So that's kind of what the class is, but it's extremely important, especially before we get to race. Race is obviously what it says it is. It is the kind of person you are, the kind of being you are. Race comes from different. There's so many races. I couldn't even begin to go over all of them. But I'll hit some of the like more popular ones, like the human. Obviously, there's the human race. They have certain abilities. This is kind of the race classes where you're going to get a majority of your abilities from, and some of your like skill proficiencies. Obviously, another popular one is the elf class, or the elf race, excuse me. They are have certain abilities as well, different ones than the humans, and same with the dwarf. The dwarf race has different abilities than others do, and there's so many races. Like I said, it would be so difficult to go over all of them, so I'm just not to save us the time. But yeah, the race is basically which race you're choosing to be and which skills that you're going to get what you're going to be able to have as extra abilities. So, like for instance, the elf race, some of them, the drow elves have dark vision, so where they can see in the dark like 120 feet away. So different things like that are really, really, really cool. The next really important thing is just ability points, and I'm going to show you really quickly what ability points are. Ability points are basically these things right here. And your ability points is what base helps you base off of most of your skills. So I'm Tipper the Titan here has a +3 in dexterity. So on all of Tipper's skills, they're going to get a +3 with the dexterity modifier. But see, I'm also proficient in this skill, so I get +5. Usually, seeing as Tipper is a rogue, usually rogues are very high in dexterity, and so a lot of their dexterity, they're going to have very high bonuses like acrobatics, stealth, and sleight of hand. But these are kind of what helps give your skills a bit of a boost and not make them all normal. As you can see, I'm high in dexterity, but I'm really bad. Tipper's really bad with wisdom. And so something like animal handling or insight into like maybe how somebody is acting or being is not gonna Tipper's not gonna be able to do very well. But if you want Tipper to steal something for you, Tipper's probably gonna be able to do it. So that's kind of what ability points are. They're probably like the primary thing on your sheet, but extremely important. Constitution usually has to deal with armor class and your hit points, so that's kind of a bit of an overview on your ability points, which is it's really better to do ability points after you've chosen your class and your race, so that you kind of already know what you want to be and what you want to do. That way you already know that you want to be a halfling rogue like Tipper is, and so you want to basically have better dexterity and better strength more than anything for your rogue class. So that's ability points for the most part, and then you have your background. Background is basically just kind of a little bit of depth for your character when you're creating it. Background helps kind of tell everybody who you were before you gathered together as adventurers. So, for instance, like a soldier, like if your character used to be a soldier and ended up leaving their ranks or getting dishonorably discharged or whatever you want to make him or her out to be. It could be a soldier. It could have been a criminal. The rogues might have a very criminal background. So the backgrounds actually add a little bit of flavor, more so than anything, to your character. But they also do have some extra skills that you can get, or extra points that you can get added to your skill abilities or modifiers. In order to have better skills. So, for instance, like if you're the criminal class, you're most likely going to get proficiency in sleight of hand and stealth. So you're probably going to get an extra 2 points towards your sleight of hand or stealth ability. If you're a folk hero, then you're probably have high charisma and are really good at killing things, honestly. So that's kind of your background. It's more flavor than anything, but it does give you a couple of different abilities, and sometimes they help with languages or having tools and things like that. The last really important thing in building out a character is your equipment. It's what equipment you're going to end up starting with, and once you've already picked a class, when you go in to pick your equipment, there's already going to be preset equipment conditions for you. If you're first starting out, it's probably best just to go ahead and pick your equipment based off the preset conditions. You'll get to pick certain ones. I'll show you here in a second. But if you don't want to do that, then you can go in and you can just buy per the gold pieces that you're given at the beginning of the game. So that's kind of your overview of really building a character. It's really simple. It's not taking me long to really explain. And you've gotten a nice overview of it to where you could really easily go in and be able to do it yourself. And the website that I recommend for any new beginner is definitely dndbeyond.com. It is really easy to make a base level character. If you never played, it's always better to stick with some of the base races and classes that they have. So I'm actually already at D&D Beyond right here, and I'm gonna actually go back to characters and my characters. So if you see, all you got to do is come in here and you got to basically sign up. It's completely free, and you can get 6 different character slots. I got 5 of 6 used. And then you come in and you'll be able to start a new character. There's a standard option. Just click the standard option, and it'll actually walk you through each one. So if you see here, starting at home, you don't really need to worry about this. It's just going to more depend on your dungeon master or your game master. But if you see, you get to pick your race, and then you'll get to pick your class as well. You get to pick your abilities. This is your ability points here. Gives your description, where your background is. And then your equipment, and to where what equipment you can choose from. And then it just literally builds out a sheet for you that you can easily print off or turn into a PDF. Really easy. It walks you through all of that. It's super simple, and it's all right there for you. But the only bad thing about it is it's kind of behind a paywall, and so you do have to pay for other things that it doesn't already give you for freebies. But if you're just starting out, this is the best place to start. It's free to use, and you have all the base things that you're going to need. So that's about all I got, and that's just a quick overview of Dungeons and Dragons. So hopefully you'll jump right into it, and hopefully you're already thinking about a character that you want to be. Now all you got to do is go out and find someone willing to be your dungeon master and start an adventure. So here's until next time. Have fun adventuring, guys.